everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking Season 7, Episode 1, Dragonstone. And this is kind of weird because it's the very first episode of the second to last season, talking it at the very first episode of the very last season. Crazy how the time works and how this schedule has changed. But before I ramble for too long, joining me today, as always, from the very beginning and to the very end, will be Johnny B. Crazy, aka. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, Sasa. How are you doing? I heard you got a Patreon.
And I actually heard that you also have a Patreon as well.
I do. Well, I did make one. First off, let me give a shout out to my first 3 Patreons. Amy True, Bobby Catalano, and Katrin C. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You will be seeing a video soon, and content will be posted for you guys in about a week exactly. Already got some good stuff planned up. We'll be in touch with you. Should save this for my other video, though. Go ahead, Sasa, do your spiel.
Well, the link to Johnny's Patreon is in the description. And for me, basically, is the same thing. My first patron happens to be my Twitter mom, Bobby Catalano. She is awesome. Go check out Handmade by Bobby on Facebook. And she is just awesome and seriously makes great stuff, most of which is in Johnny's background. And she's making more stuff. And I feel like there's a lot more coming in the works for Bobby and all of her stuff. So
I had a special package coming Monday from Bobby, so we'll see what happens there.
I can only imagine what Bobby has cooked up for you, Johnny. But yes, so both of our patrons are linked in the description box below. Go check them out, and pretty much the reward tiers are just awesome for both of us. And yeah, I think we also have some stuff specially planned these next few weeks for them. So, anyways, what did you think about with this episode, especially how it starts off, because it's a cold open?
It's pretty good. Okay, like, not the best cold open, and they don't do a lot of cold opens in Game of Thrones. This one was good, even though the episode as a whole was not strong in my opinion, but everyone was waiting on this revenge, the Frey pie. Come on though, you're gonna take the toenails out if you're actually cooking a pie. How did Walder Frey not hit a bone before then? But still, sweet tasting revenge. I thought it was good, you know. How'd you feel about it? Did it make you hungry?
The cold open, when you first see it, you think, is this a flashback? Are we seeing something that's like happened before? Because you're like trying to wonder, because obviously if you didn't marathon the series before it started in season 7, you're like, wait, because you remember obviously what happened at the end of 6:10, but you're just like, what? And then obviously as the scene progresses and it becomes more and more evident that this is Arya using Walder's face, it just kind of goes yeah. And this is where the freaking faceless men magic and all of that training is just kind of goes out the window, because she reveals who she is to her victims.
Stupid. I mean, it's like someone wearing a see-through pantyhose when they rob a bank. You know, you don't want people to really know who you are. Yes, you want the fear of Stark to be there, but there's a better way, a more subtle way you could do that. I mean, it was a little fan service, right? And if she doesn't have any repercussions for this, there's something wrong with the House of Black and White storyline. Wouldn't be the first time, but I really hope they wrap this up. I think they will. They're making a point of her abusing this power. So I hope they bring them back. And that's the only time we'll see Jack and Hagar. It's not going to be some fantasy. It'll be just Jack and Hagar, so you know the faceless men are there and what Arya is going to have to pay for. Don't think she's going to have to die, although she could. But we see her taking on different identities throughout this whole series. So she could just literally take on a different identity. She could put her face on another person. I never even thought about that. But if you see how Jaqen had her face before she wasn't dead, but Jaqen had Arya's face, I would assume there's a way that she could do that herself or find someone that looks close enough to her. And I haven't really been paying attention to people that kind of look like Arya, but I bet there's someone around that's maybe a serving girl or something. So yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Also, too, yeah, like that's exactly how it could be. People think that she'll have to kill Jaime to use Jaime's face if she goes to King's Landing, but we know with the magic that she can use Jaime's face as like almost like a glamour. Same thing with Sansa; she could do a similar situation, but yeah, she as Walder Frey gives the whole line of keep one wolf alive and the sheep are never safe, which if you watch back season 7 episode 2 on episode club, we talked about how that's really funny, with Olenna basically saying like you're not a sheep to Daenerys, so you're a dragon, be a dragon, almost. So it's like a lot of sheep versus the sigil analogies, which I found kind of funny. But yeah, Arya kills all of the Frey men, but leaves the serving girls and his new young wife alive. Which, so it's like, so now the Freys are a female-led house? Like,
they're pretty much extinguished. You could almost count on there being a baby boy in one of those wombs, though. And I don't know how that's going to work. Like, that's something that, how are you going to tie that up? We have no Edmure. So I don't even know if we're going to get a resolution to what the hell's happening at the twins. We could, but do they have enough time? And do you need it to finish out the story? No, you don't. I would like it. I would like them to pay attention to details like they have, in the beginning and throughout the middle of the series. But, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I think the actor who plays Edmure is supposed to reappear in season 8. I'm pretty sure he's on the cast list to show back up. So maybe there's something involved with that. I don't know. Because technically his child with Rosalind is, I guess, heir apparent to Riverrun? Right? Like, eldest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make Edmure's baby the Lord of the Crossing.
Yeah.
I guess. Someone is going to have to get the Riverlands, but we're assuming that I don't think they're going to leave us like that. It's not going to be a tidy ending. We're not going to have, hey, you're going to get this, you're going to get this, everybody gets their piece of land. I don't think it's going to end like that. I think it's going to end where we're going to have to kind of guess where everyone's situated. Not completely left in the dark or an obscure ending, but I do think we're going to have a little bit left to fill the void. We're going to have to use our imagination to stay invested in the story, that's the kind of ending I like. If I see, if it ends with just these people smiling, standing on their castle, I'm not, that's not going to happen. It could, but I don't feel like that's where they're going with this. I feel like we're going to have a lot of deaths. Everyone was seen in the trailer on the front line. I think they're going to give their lives while the other people are trying to flee through the Winterfell crypts. I mean, Lewin even said this in the show that there's tunnels leading out of Winterfell. So, and it would make sense for Jorah, and that's why Jorah has Heartsbane, right? Sam knows he's going to die, so give him that. You know what I mean? That's stupid, but something Sam would do.
Yeah, because like we said on your channel a few days ago now, like Justin Thomas said that, we have to at least have one major character die in episode 3, as well as one at least minor character, like a B, like an A or A/B, and a B character has to kind of exit in the third episode. Like, it has to be something that pulls on your heartstrings, because unless it's just a clean sweep of a lot of B characters, which I could kind of see, and leave a lot of the A characters up and running, but it's hard to say. But
next scene. I agree.
The next Arya scene we get is her headed to King's Landing, where she runs into Ed Sheeran.
What are the odds, huh?
Yeah, she runs into Ed Sheeran and a band of Lannister men. What do you think?
This kind of goes back to what Brienne learned when she was taking Jaime into custody and taking him back to King's Landing to trade for Sansa. They had the 3 women in a tree. They lay with lions, and this is where Brienne realizes, hey, all men are shitheads. Well, Arya's getting the opposite end of the spectrum here, and kind of seeing that soldiers are just people too, which I would argue she should already know this, but it's an okay little scene. I know people wigged out because of this cameo. It doesn't bother me that bad because, it's not Adam Levine. Ed Sheeran doesn't have this. He looks like he could be a part of that world. He doesn't have this super clean, crisp look. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's nothing like it's a credit to him, because I think he pulls it off pretty well, in my opinion. But, that's just my opinion. Other than that, it's just her, humanizing the Lannister soldiers.
Mm-hmm. And because Ed Sheeran's not too Hollywood for this. And I think because he's friends with Maisie in real life, Arya's actress in real life, so he was kind of like a shoo-in to kind of get him in the show. And like you said, he could fit the bill, even though he has ginger hair. It's like, do Lannisters have ginger hair? But I guess it's the soldiers. It doesn't really matter too much. But she gets some kindness from the Lannister soldiers. One talks about how his mother always wanted to be kind to strangers, and the other soldier talks about how his wife was having their first child, and she's like, "What do you like, a boy or a girl?" And he's like, "You think I actually get ravens?" And it's like, like these people just fight in these wars for big people, and they don't get too much from home, like, at all. And he also talked about how he wanted to have a daughter, or he hopes that it's a daughter, because they take care of their parent or their dads when they're older, which kind of tugs on, I guess.
Boys just go off to war, fight and fuck. That's all. That's pretty much for real. That's all boys can do in this world. Not saying that's bad. I'm just saying in general, you want to be realistic. That's what the Hound will tell you.
Exactly. And she's learning that not all Lannisters are bad, or not all Lannister bannermen are bad. But that's kind of that scene with Arya, because all the fun Arya scenes come later in these episodes. We can hop down to Arya's buddy, the Hound, and him and the Brotherhood Without Banners. The Hound.
You dumb cunt.
Did the
Top
Lord of
notch,
Light
not
tell
fooling
you?
anyone. Oh, sorry.
It's like, did the Lord of Light tell you that it's snowing, Thoros? It's cold. Um,
He's a prophet, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hound. We learned that the Hound doesn't like rum because it's too sweet. Um, as well as we see that this is also the house from season 4 where the Hound robs the man and the little girl, and as well as potentially the gravedigger theory. So, would you?
The grave digger theory. That's not a theory. That is the Hound digging that grave. He has a broken leg on the Quiet Owl. Strangers in there kicking the shit out of people, being a badass who's not named Stranger, but there's no other horse like that in the Seven Kingdoms. Um, and it's a really good nod to it. The Hound's having to face the consequences of his actions, the reality of his sins, and it's hard for him to handle this. I think it's a nice, beautiful little scene here. This is one of my favorite scenes from the entire episode, and he mans up. You know, Jamie. Yeah, you say he has a redemption arc, but you can argue Jamie was the same person he was the whole time. It just took Brienne and other people for him to realize that it'd be worth it for him to give the effort to show his true face, because he hid behind being an evil person. He hid behind that. You know, he thought being nice is almost showing weakness in a sense, in my opinion. And the Hound is had the most evolution, you could argue. At least he's least up there tied with anyone else for the most evolution of a character. He come from being a very bitter, I wouldn't say evil, but he didn't,
Hardened.
realize what killing is. He was slightly selfish, and we see that he's realizing that that's not the right way, and he's still trying to hide behind the tough guys. And this is because he's been scarred his whole life and feels vulnerable, especially to fire. So, it's just a beautiful thing that the Hound has went through. I completely understand why that's a ton of people's favorite character. And I'll shut the hell up now.
Yeah, like it's the Hound going through this religious experience the last couple of seasons of first basically coming back to life from the dead because of in 607 they talk about not Ian McShane. Is it his name Ian McShane? I can't remember. And troll me in the comments. But the priest uh, talks about how when he found the Hound, it was he was basically on the verge of death, like he was preparing to bury the Hound, and he came back. Um, and through that, he gained a religious experience, and now that that entire community has been wiped, besides him, he's found the Brotherhood, and now, like we've kind of been talking about, it's when Thoros dies and Beric is left alive, spoiler alert, um, that that the Hound or the Lord of Light needs somebody else to kind of be a representation of uh, this religion, because you have to have some converters besides Stannis, because Stannis is dead, so you need somebody else of prominent stature in this society, basically, to kind of come and
If the Hound
show
lives,
his
do you think he
religion.
could be a red priest? I just thought of that.
It could be kind of like not like kind of like a Beric figure where he's like, we're all here for a reason. I don't think he would learn all of the language of say Thoros or Mel, where it's like they learn all of the prayers, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I think he could see enough to be converted. He's very close. I mean, he's here when he sees something in the flames, you can tell it really touches him. And he puts on this front, like we said, he acts like he doesn't believe stuff when he actually does. He acts like stuff isn't wrong when he knows it really is. So how much of that is him trying to cover up his true beliefs here? And can we see a spiritual evolution or spiritual revelation from the Hound in season 8? I might even make a video on this because, yeah. Go ahead.
It's totally possible. And then, yeah, we have the Hound in the middle of the night digging the graves for the man and the little girl. And it's Thoros realizing that the Hound had more to play with this family. Not than he's like saying, because in the very beginning of this scene, he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't stop here. They have no livestock, all of this stuff." So it's the Hound being very sympathetic and very hard, not hard, and kind of softened by his experiences. And yeah, it's a good scene overall. I think, yeah, you're right, Johnny. I think it's one of the better scenes in this episode. And it's from characters that not a lot of people. It's from a lot of characters that most of the general audience kind of scratches their head at a little bit. It's not a Jon Snow scene, or it's not a Dany scene. It's a band of merry men, basically, just walking and meandering through the Great North. So, yeah. Next, we can go to, I guess, Bran, who's up north, way up north, and the White Walkers. So, just jump back a tiny bit. So, we get the White Walkers showing up. Ooh, we're big bads for this. Some big bad, ominous bad for the season. And then Bran showing up at Castle Black. And like Dolores says, like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I mean, Dolores has seen some shit, hasn't he? This guy right here, he is cool under pressure, and I bet he could fly with his ears if he really tried. Dolores Ed is the man, and he takes everything in stride. Brandon Stark from Winterfell. Okay, come on in. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Fuck, I've seen enough shit. I guess I'll believe you at this point. You come from north of the wall on a fucking sled. Something's going on here. I'll let you in, bro. That I could say a little more. I don't know what else I could say about this. It's pretty good. I like it. Really quick scene. The dumbing down of Bran a little bit. We see here, but he picks up a little bit, so all good.
Yeah, and poor Mira. She's so exhausted. She's like, "I'm Mira Reed, daughter of Howland Reed." And it's like, "This is Brandon Stark." And then they're like, "Okay." It's like a Stark just left, so why not? And then yeah, because obviously Bran has to go. "I saw you at Hardhome. I saw you at the Fist of the First Men," and it's like, all right, let him in. It's like, but it's like, yeah. Once a brother, kind of always a brother, or once I'm a brother, it's like, because that's John's, because like Dolores Ed's kind of like one of John's pseudo brothers from the Night's Watch, so it's like once a brother, always a brother situation. Like Sam, if he's your brother, then I'm his brother, so you're my brother too, kind of thing. Yeah, poor Mira. Mira needs a hot bath and time to some time to herself to not keep dragging Bran through the Great White North anymore.
Well, and Bran kind of tells him, "Saw you at the Fist of the First Men. The army of the dead is coming." And Dolores, it's like, oh, fuck it. Okay, yeah, this creepy kid. Let's just do this. Yeah.
Dolores said with the the Lord Commander cloak on, so they didn't obviously get rid of it. Didn't get rid of it just yet, but yeah, it's just a kind of short scene. And the other men, they're just like, all right. So we can jump over to, speaking of John, we can jump over to Winterfell, where we see them having their meeting in the Great Hall. And this is another divisive Sansa scene in this, where Sansa's like, we should punish them. John's like, no, we should punish them, no. And even Lyanna is pipes up a little bit in this. I kind of know what your side on this is, but what do you think about this scene?
A little bear is ready to fight and fiery. Gotta love it. Every man, woman, child in the north on Bear Island. Well, we'll be ready to fight. Dragon glass is more valuable than gold at this point. And John actually tells the maesters this, but we do see later they're still dismissing it, so we don't get any help from them. Maybe we'll see something going on with them in season 8. I kind of hope they didn't just leave the Citadel in the dust, but hey, it did look like we got a farewell shot there. The other lords, this is where they're kind of pissy about the Umbers and Karstarks, but John and Sansa get into a little bickering match. Sansa acts a little bit out of character, questioning him in front of everyone. She knows better. I don't know. They're just trying to cause some tension here. Tormund is the Night's Watch now. He's loving that shit. He's just having a good old time being the wildling, being the black sheep amongst everyone. He knows he can rub it in their face and how much they fucking hate that he is there. But yeah, this is all about preparing for the long night. And you got Peter Baelish staring in the shadows. Sansa, I see an opportunity for you. Thank you, Sansa.
You've gotten really good at that. And I feel like when BBM watches this, he'll be creeped out. But yeah, again, because I think there was a scene that was supposed to be in this episode was Sansa and John talking about Baelish and like them meeting in a room together and talking about strategies moving forward. That's why they had them clash in this episode. So same thing with what they did with Arya and Sansa coming up. Just made them clash and make them look like they're fighting again. It's just that pretty much. And Alice Karstark, we get to see what she looks like, and from far away, she can look like Sansa because cough cough the press thought that was her body double. So in season 6, so hey, why not? Or when season 7 was filming, sorry. So and I know we kind of thought about this loosely before, but what if Tormund lives, but Brienne dies? Does Alice Karstark get Tormund Giantsbane, and that's how they get that storyline? But I don't know. It's a tinfoil theory thingy, but it'd be funny. It's like a bunch of ginger babies instead of ginger giant babies.
Come out of the womb with their hair actually being fire. They're so ginger.
Yeah, and Lady Lyanna Mormont having to stick up for her son by name, like her name, whatever thing. I don't know. For her namesake, in a sense. But yeah, it's decent. And then we see these two. It's just like fighting like an old married couple again. Cough cough season 8. But then they get the swearing the allegiance of the little kids, and then it's just like, yeah, sure. And Santa telling John to not be stupid. Don't be like Robb Stark. Don't be like father. This is what makes me think that the whole Dany John thing is kind of for show, but then to like kind of just pull it under everybody's rug, like pull it under the rug and be like, ha!
I think it's more like you said. John can be in love with her and still betray her for the greater good the same way he had to with Egret. I don't think if he has to play the political role, it doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't love Danny.
No.
Right? Because he'll, for honor, for duty, I said duty. He will I think he'll do the right thing if he has to. Because Danny does have an opportunity to redeem herself here. You know, don't you don't want to condemn people for their mistakes in this world or in the real world, because people make mistakes, especially in a pressure cooker situation like they're all in. This vie for power, this cruel world. Um, do I think Danny made the wrong decision? Yes, and you could argue with me on that and disagree, and I can't really fault you on it. So that it's a really good debate. So I don't know. Um, I can see it going both ways. That's why it's set up. I think season 8 is set up so fantastically well. Season 7 worked. Like Justin Thomas said, they got everybody where they needed to be to make it good. We might not like exactly how they all got there, but they're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people, especially on Twitter, don't like who ship Jon and Daenerys very hard. Don't think that it's in the realm of possibility that he could do what he did with Ygritte to Daenerys. And it's like, what? Like, he did it for love, and he still loved her until the very end. He basically told her that he loved her in his arms. So when she was dying, so totally seeing it happening again, and it's like infiltrating for the right reasons. Because why would she say, "Don't be like Rob," and then him end up like Rob? Right? It's like, don't do this, don't be stupid, and then he ends up being stupid. Then that completely changes who's Jon's character is, because he is so he can be dumb at some moments, but he's pretty smart when it comes to doing the right thing. And doing the right thing one time got him killed, so I don't think he's gonna do the right thing again and get killed again. But yeah, and they get in this too, they get the Raven from Cersei, and he's like asking basic Sansa's advice about Cersei, and she's like, she'll kill anybody until she gets what she wants, and that's powerful shit. And it's like, right, like she'll never stop until she's destroyed you. Everyone who's ever crossed her, she's found a way to murder. Ominous as hell what could happen with her. Yeah, two of them just bickering. It's just old married couple vibes.
She tells it true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Cersei Lannister, we see her and Jaime basically talk about where everybody was in this new season, or in terms of the alliances, and to talk about Tommen. Like Alaria
Second, I had another scene. Oh. We're gonna go back to Winterfell, I guess, for that other scene.
Oh, wait, we can do that. Oh, I forgot about that. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I saw it later down, and I forgot because I separated it by accident. Oh, there. So, sorry.
Sansa, you're not alone. I will protect you. Please, just keep me by your side. So Brienne, Pod hasn't gotten much better. Brienne's just kicking the shit out of him. Pod's very predictable. He's using a one-handed sword with two hands. Don't know what's going on here. If Brienne is teaching him, Pod isn't listening well.
Bad list.
I argue he was a better fighter before he started training.
Yeah.
But, they get Tormund here. He wants him some giant babies. He's loving this. He's so jealous of Pod in the situation.
He even
And
says, "You're a lucky man."
and later here, Brienne asks, why Peter's still there. Well, because the Knights of the Vale, right? And it helped turn the tide, and she feels like maybe she owes him something. And I guess Bron John Royce is in control of it now after Peter's death, and so is Sansa. But where does that leave Robin? I don't know. We have yet to see whether they're going to cut him out. I don't know how much any point of talking about that is, though. But Brienne's just very suspicious of Peter Baelish, as we all are this season, and well, seemingly Sansa has somewhat of a plan. We just don't really know it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to keep your enemies really close to you. I mean, she's kind of learned,
But
But
Stannis said, someone who said that didn't have very many enemies. So it's like, one way or another. But yeah, Sansa has a plan, and she's when Baelish walks away and Brienne shows up. It's just like, why is he still here? It's like, I know why he's still here. It's like, because he wants me. Yeah, it's one of those weird scenes because it's like to use obviously the fighting for Pot and Brienne, but then also to kind of be like, I know what he wants and his motivations. So does she already know that he wants to sow discourse between Jon and Sansa again? In a sense, like, does she already know that? And I guess she already knows that too when Arya shows up. And there's that.
well, he doesn't want. He wants Sansa. That's what she knows he wants.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. Everything else he is doing is, like he says, he doesn't really plan it out. He kind of waits for stuff to present itself. He jumps on opportunities. So I don't think she would know what his exact plan is, but she knows what his end goal is, and that can help her try to read him, which I think she's trying to do here. She's giving him just enough to keep him kind of, in a sense, wanting her, but also keeping her distance. You can see right there by the look. It's like, you're gonna have to earn my trust back, and I will try to earn your trust, Sansa, any way I can, Sansa. Anyways, yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, that's a powerful scene from a powerful redhead. Dun dun dun. Anyway, well, now jump down to Cersei, where she's talking about Alaria Sand and her brood of bitches as well. Or she's talking about Alaria Sand and her brood of bitches and how pretty much Olenna Tyrell is a see you next Tuesday. And they also talk about Tommen for a split second.
Cersei's focused on revenge and gaining power and destroying anyone that gets in her path. Jaime's trying to give her a little perspective here, that she needs allies. She's basically alienating everyone. I would argue that Cersei doesn't give a shit. She's given into her fate in a sense and just trying to go for broke. I don't think she feels like her house can live on. How could it? But later in the later in the season, I do think she might be given some false hope that we'll see play out in a possible pregnancy coming up in season 8. And it goes from here. Like you said, she's kind of just drawing a big map for war purposes. This also helps viewers out to see where and why people are landing certain places, why Danny's going to Dragonstone, where it's located relative to where she actually left from. So that kind of helps you if you're wondering why Danny didn't go to Dawn or any of these other places. We get fucking Euron coming in here too, right? And I'll just kind of go through everything with Cersei. We get Euron coming in. Jaime's super happy about this. Nice little finger in the bum. I mean, there's just all kind of good stuff. And look how beautiful this piece of crap is. I mean, come on, $1.50 eye patch. I will send them one myself. They could have just digitally put an eye patch on his face. But talks about how he murdered his brother, and then he just admits to kinslaying in the middle of everything. Jaime's question is his trustworthiness, and he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't really care. So I think Cersei kind of respects Euron in a sense to where he at least admits what he is. He doesn't try to hide that he's a shitbag. Mm-hmm. And that's my spiel on all this.
Yeah, it's Euron, my two good hands movement is just like, oh man. But yeah, Cersei kind of shuts him down in the appropriate manner. Like she got it going on. Obviously because she couldn't do that when it was Robert was in power. So she's like, let me just do what I need to do and exert my power. But yeah, it's one of the only times that Cersei wears her crown ever. The newly forged crown, which it's not my favorite. It's not like Marjorie's crown was really awesome. This one just seems like it was bought kind of at like, or it was just made for like a little kid's
more
crown.
More of a tiara, huh?
Yeah, it's more of a tiara, not a crown kind of thing. Which, hey, who's gonna wear a crown? Dun 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 dun. Sansa, maybe, or Daenerys. But Daenerys, how would a crown fit all over Dany's braids? Let's talk about that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it's like, how would Dany wear a crown? Would Dany be that stereotypical queen and wear a crown in the end? I don't think so. She has too many braids to wear a crown, but yeah, it's in this. But Jaime's just funny, and he's protecting his lady love, the mother of all of his dead children. So, and the mountain and Cersei's new armor, like the armor that Cersei gave all of her guards, so personal guard. So pretty dang awesome.
Black on black. Yeah.
Back in black.
Gold and black motif. Mourning the loss of her entire family, along with putting a little bling bling on it.
Mm-hmm. Bling bling makes them ring ring. Anyway, yeah. Euron says that he'll be back, and obviously we know he's gonna go get the sand snakes. Jesus. But we can move on to Sam and his university experience, if you want to call it that.
Well, I mean, he's got his nice little tasks he's doing, and he finds something very cool in the book, right? And then we see the Khaleesi follower pop his hand out later, right? And I'll just go ahead and do my spiel because that's what I'm good at. So, Sam's got a new job, and it sucks. Man, this is gross. All them Lincoln logs he had to pull out of the porta potties, basically. How much can you say about that? Not much. Isn't it this episode that he sees the book behind the door, like the locked room here?
Yeah, it's okay. Going through them. I don't really want to show the montage because I don't want to.
No. But he sees that, and then he also
the restricted section, like in Harry Potter.
He also gets his reads this book, and he finds finds out about the Mountain of Dragonstone, right, with Gilly. And, well, while Gilly's entertaining Sam, so to speak. And this is this exciting discovery for Sam, even though he was told about this 3 seasons ago. Sam says, "Oh, yeah, I remember now. There's some dragon glass here." So he's got to get this to John immediately. And this coming off the heels of John, dragon glass is more valuable than gold. So Sam has hit the jackpot. He's a rich man for the rest of his life. No.
It's like a ching ching, like a ding 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 jackpot. I can fake it. But yeah, Sam's kind of like all of us when we were like poring over all of the books during this long break, trying to figure out if anything can show up that we remember. But yeah, with the scene previous, sorry to cut you off, but with the scene previous, it's I think Sam was doing the John Bradley was doing the commentary for this episode, I believe, with Hannah Murray. And Sam was saying that everybody else was at the Emmys. He had to stay back in Belfast and film this montage. So it's like, poor Sam. Everybody else gets to go party off in LA. Well, you get to have to sit here and just get, hopefully, make sure that you understand the difference between shit and stew, pretty much. And like keep them separated as best. And also in this too, Sam is with Maester Ebros, and they're doing an autopsy on a body. And they also talk about the wall and how the wall has stood through it all, and something like that. I think.
Yeah, and it would always stand, and the Citadel will always be there. They'll be there to pick up the pieces no matter what happens. So that's a little nod to maybe Sam getting a high place in the Citadel, or even being the one to disseminate and be responsible for the information that's left over after the long night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like the cool stuff that was with Sam, but yeah, at least baby Sam talks, people. He said he's not that little anymore. He can talk now. But yeah, Hannah Murray, like Keely has some new dreads, and it's just awesome. Anyway, the last scene that we have in this episode is kind of one of the longest scenes we get with minimal dialogue, and it's Danny arriving to Dragonstone. So
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you whatever I want to say about this. I'll get done with it quick. Cool shots, painted table, dragons flying in. Actually enjoyed this wordless scene. Pretty nice. She gets to touch her home. She gets to put her her feet in the dirt of her homeland that she hasn't been there since she was taken off by Willem Derry as a child. This is where she was born, in the midst of one of the greatest storms in a century, if I'm not mistaken. And super emotional moment for Danny. She is home. And the more you kind of think about that, the more you realize what this means to her. Mm-hmm. That's about all I gotta say. That's a pretty good scene,
Yeah, and yeah, it's a crazy good scene. The only dialogue in it is literally 30 seconds into the end of the episode, and it's Danny going, "Shall we begin?" to Tyrion. Yeah, it's a crazy good scene. Like, even though it has like no dialogue, but you feel all of the emotion when she's just walking through this place that she has no memory of, but knows that it's so important to her. And whoever was the person to put up Stannis' flag needed to be fired because it took that her just going chink and then it falling down too easy. Um, yeah,
To be fair, it's probably kind of rotted. It's been there for months and months in the salt air. It could be enough to where it's pretty brittle and would come down easy. I mean,
trying to be
that's the only defense I could give it.
yeah.
Not saying it's much of one.
Yeah, and that's putting logic behind it. But yeah, and just walking through, and then which one's better throne now? The Iron Throne or the throne on Dragonstone?
I mean, the Iron Throne in the books, but the Dragonstone throne in the show for damn sure, right? And it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it's like yeah, just an awesome thing, and it's cool that they've expanded Dragonstone because the only thing we ever got in the early seasons of Dragonstone is the map room, which is pretty cool. And yeah, Danny touching what may be her entire country in a few short episodes next season. So yeah, it's a pretty good episode. I don't know why, but it just seems like after season 5, the openers have been just kind of cut scenes from like the between the finale and episode 2s lately. So praying to God that tonight when we watch this will be good. But yeah, final thoughts on this and your rating, unless you want to go first.
I pretty much agree with your final thoughts. Episode was a pretty good nod to a few characters, a little slow and almost forced on some. With that, I actually give this a 7, which was higher than what I thought I was going to give it. A 7 fecal floaters is what I'm going to give this episode. Yeah, thank you for having me on, Sasa. What do you rate this damn thing?
I kind of give this episode, let's say, 7. 7. Sam mind slips. Wait, that's Dragonstone. Because he just remembers when he looks at the picture that this is where Dragonstone is and all this information about Dragonstone. But yeah, 7 mind slips. Yes, 7 Sam mind slips. There we go. And yeah, it's a pretty decent episode. So, because this is coming out Sunday morning-ish, what are you doing later tonight, Johnny?
Well, I'm watching it, and then I'll be on immediately after almost immediate, about 15 minutes after the episode it's over. I will be live with Secrets of the Citadel. Geek Chat 1, JRL, and Kyle Azora Hype will be on the panel with me. Come check it out. It'll be really fun. After that, on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Nooners of Thrones will be covering the first episode. Sasa and Bravosi broadcast, aka Fake Aria, will be there. You won't want to miss it, and we might have we may even have Justin Thomas or Alicia Kingston on. We'll see what they're doing there, but we're gonna have fantastic panels every week. I'll be on Sasa's channel, and also me and Sasa will be on Top Shelf Fandom, aka Justin Thomas's channel, at 8 p.m. Eastern for I can't remember what the actual title is, but we'll be talking the new episode of Game of Thrones, so you're gonna want to check that out. Be bad, hit all of Sasa's buttons, be respectful, go check out Sasa's Patreon, sub to her, like this, share it out. You want to check out my Patreon.
And your
Many more you
PayPal.
get. I mean, we have some nice things on the tiers. It's going to be very interactive. It's going to be fun. It will be worth the monthly subscription. Definitely go check it out. Again, special thank you to my first 3 Patreons, Katrin C., Bobby Catalano, and Amy True. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mackenzie, for having me on. You are so awesome. Couldn't do this without you, my friend.
No problem, buddy. No problem at all. Yeah, you can find us tonight, actually, or not today, this afternoon, with Johnny and myself, and maybe a few others will sneak on with us, and we're going to be talking around 12 o'clock. The Dragon and the Wolf 7-7, the last episode club before all the new ones. It's gonna be awesome. It's our last one. It's been a good one. It's been a great run so far. Can't wait to round out the rest of it. And yes, the only other thing that I have to add about Monday night is that Axel should be joining us from podcast. Winterfell should be there as well. Awesome time. And yeah, Wednesday nights, 8:30 Eastern. We'll be talking all the new episodes. It'll be a fun time. Yes, and check out Johnny's Patreon because it's just awesome. And yeah, we'll see you all. And check out Johnny's new video that he's going to be dropping too as well, which should be about Cersei Lannister.
Hi. Yeah, it's almost complete. Just gotta put the finishing touches on. It'll be out tomorrow, along with my Patreon announcement and what the tiers will be. So be on the lookout for that. You won't want to miss it. And hey, much love to you all, my friends.
Much love to everyone, and we'll see you very shortly. Bye, everyone.